Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to The Couch with me, Pratt. Thank you for staying with Pan-African TV. I have to even say thank you to you for staying with us for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through to Friday. We love Fridays, and you know why. Because on Friday, we get to sit and wine, learn new things about amazing personalities who are doing awesomely, first for themselves, but also for all of us, you know, people that we love to see, people whose life stories inspire us. And when we are feeling down, because of them, we get up and we move and we make things happen. That's why I'm excited today, because the lady that I have in the studio with me is one such woman that, you know, I love, and for good reason. So, listen, grab yourself some water, relax on your couch, right? As we bring you the couch from Pan-African TV. Stay with us. I'll tell you who in a minute.
Kate Addo, born 23rd July 1972, is a Ghanaian journalist, broadcaster, and public relations practitioner. She is currently the Director of Public Affairs of the Parliament of Ghana. Kate Addo was born to William Chauvel Addo and Juliana Ahima Aye, both from Greater Accra region in Ghana. She attended Ebenezer Senior High School in 1985, obtaining an ordinary level certificate in 1990. She then proceeded to Accra High School for her advanced level certificate in 1992. She started studying at the Ghana Institute of Journalism in 1996, where she obtained a diploma of journalism, and in 2003 at the University of Leeds obtained an MA in International Communication in 2010. She also obtained a Master of Public Administration from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, and in 2016, an LLB degree from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. Addo started her career at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation in 1998 as an assistant editor, and then she moved on to become a newscaster, TV presenter, and then a political moderator for current affairs programs up until 2004 when she left. Addo became acting director of public affairs at the Parliament of Ghana in 2016, and in 2020 she was promoted to substantive director and public affairs of the Parliament of Ghana. Kate Addo is married and has 2 children. She founded the Dual Concept Foundation, which supports children from deprived communities.
Yes, that's my guest for this evening, Madame Kate Addo.
It's always a pleasure to be here, and we should tell Arabo that the feeling is mutual, because I do love you and I don't love everybody, but the few people that I love, you are on one finger.
Thank you.
So it's a good
Thank
thing.
you. It's
Thank you.
High praise coming from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on the couch finally.
So I mean, I know you from TV. Or at least I knew you from TV. That's from the beginning. I knew you from TV. I remember a time when it was just you and I think it was Mohineri.
Yeah.
You know, you were the 2 main dominant faces.
Life was simpler then.
Really?
Like, we didn't have that many TVs. In fact, it was just us, GTV, so it was easy to sort of like maneuver and do things. I wonder how it would have been today with all of you really smart people in the same space with us. So yeah, it was easy and also difficult because, you know, we didn't have examples to go by. So yeah.
Wow, I can only imagine that. But then you left the scenes. You know, we were like, but where is she? Where is she? And then she's in Parliament. Was that hard? The transition from in front of the screens straight into Parliament. You realize I've started the journey from up. I'll come down.
Yeah.
Right? What that transition?
You know, at the time when I was taking that decision, I felt that it was the best. Maybe if I had to take it today, I would have considered a lot more factors. But at the time, it was an easy enough decision to take, because I felt that I needed to do something that I thought was going to be relatively easier. How wrong was I? I thought it was going to be an easier space, because in our time, and I don't know whether you guys face the same problems now, there was a lot of talk about, you know, what you did, you were judged, you know, your weight was a problem, what color of dress you wore was a problem. So it shifted attention from the substance of what you were bringing to the table to the aesthetics. And I felt that, look, I didn't want people to see me just as a physical object, but also to find out what I had to offer in terms of intellect and everything. And I thought Parliament offered the opportunity. And I must say that in that sense, yes, you know, it's tested every single intellectual capacity that I have. So yes, and emotional. So yes.
I can just imagine. So immediately that makes me want to dial back a bit. Why media? Because you actually went to GIJ. You are trained. You're a professional.
I
media
did.
practitioner.
It was so when starting out, I always knew that I was going to be a creative. You know, I was going to be in the creative space, because I discovered that I could write at a very early age, and it was an escape route for me. So you would find that anytime growing up, I was a little introverted, so I'd spend a lot of time on my own. I still do. And anytime I was alone with my thoughts, I'd put them on paper. And then when I would show it to somebody, they'd be like, did you actually write this? So I knew I was going to do that. My mother wanted me to be a lawyer, but you know, I think fate and destiny had other plans for me. So my sister, after my A-levels, I had a friend who said, I think your sister should go to GIJ because she writes so well. And so I was enrolled. And then, you know, the practical attachment thing that you do at during the GIJ. So I did the print media, and then I went to the television, and then I was discovered by Wallace Bampuado. And your father was one of the people that were in the space that I was in. And they were people that, at the time, were sort of like holding your hand and not just leading you, but actually pulling you to come. So you didn't have a choice. It wasn't so much, oh, I'm deciding that you are being made to go and do. So yeah, so I got very good examples. Your father was one of the people that maybe for the rest of my life I'll always, you know, refer to. Kweku Baku, who turned 70 on, I think, Sunday, is also one of them. We also had some stints with Gabby, who's also doing very well. He was more closer to our contemporaries than your dad and Mr. Baku. But we had very good examples, and we had people who wanted us to be successful. So it was relatively easier, and very quickly, you know, I was able to climb, and, you know, all of a sudden everybody knew me, and everybody said, oh, you were so good at what you do. And I was like, oh, really? I thought I was just doing something that I liked. So yeah, the media space was really good to me. It was really good to me. I grew up very fast.
Right. And so the fame then, because it's not like today's fame.
No.
Those days, if you're on GBC, all of Ghana knew you.
All of Ghana.
All of Ghana knew you. How was that like?
It was, you know, you sort of tend to initially take it for granted, because sometimes you don't even realize how enormous the whole situation is. But when you start going to places, it started for me with when I would, for instance, go to the hospital, and then the nurse or the person in charge sees you and says, oh, come, you don't have to join the queue. And then you go to places and you're being recognized. And because I was doing a lot of political, you know, stories and everything, the political actors also got to know you within a very short time. And so you didn't really realize how big it was until maybe something happened. And you're like, I need to pinch myself to be sure that I'm the one we are talking about. But yes, it gave me some really good opportunities and some really good relationships that I still have to this day. So yeah, it was really good. It was big, and like I said earlier, it's not like today where there are 1 million smart people doing the same thing, where you have to really justify your inclusion. The other side of the coin is that you had to set the blaze. You have blaze the trail.
Absolutely.
So you needed to be a good example. You needed to work twice as hard. There was no AI, there was no Google, you didn't have artificial intelligence. So everything was organic. And it helped, like I said, it made me grow very fast. So probably at 25, 26, I was already very grown in my mind. And so when I compare my age then to people that age now, I see that, okay, so they're taking their time about it.
Right.
But I didn't have that luxury, and I'm happy that I didn't actually.
Right. So the decision was made at some point to go to Parliament. I mean, something must have started that. I'm curious.
I had a hunger. I had a hunger for things that were at the time in my mind, out of my grasp. I wanted more. I wanted to do more, and I'm sure you do know that feeling. If you're a news reader, for instance, you knew that if you came in at 2, at 6 o'clock your script is ready, 6:30 you go into makeup, 7 o'clock you're reading the news, 8 o'clock you're done, you are waiting for 10 o'clock. It's very predictive. But I'm not that kind of person. I need to be challenged in diverse ways. So after a while, I could sleepwalk my role. And I said to myself, it's time to find something that was different, that would challenge me more. And for me, while I was in the media, my outlet was documentaries. So I would do 1 million documentaries because it kept me busy, kept my creative juices flowing. But I felt that, okay, what can I do different? I had gone to Leeds Uni and retained with a master's in international communications. I majored in public diplomacy and political economy. So when I came back, I said, political economy, what can I do with it? Coincidentally, there was an opening for a deputy director of public affairs in Parliament, and the job description said, to help build a positive image for Parliament, coordinate political activities. So I said, that's it for me. So I applied. And then I remember I was 30 years then, and I had applied for the job. And when I went I had a friend who was quite high. I knew, a mutual friend through somebody. And he said to me that, Kate, let me be honest with you. I don't think you get this job. First, because you're female. Second, because you're a bit young for the position you're asking for. Because in the career journey at the time, the terminal point was director. So if you entered at, let's say, 30, you had only one chance of promotion till you went on retirement at 60. So it wasn't necessarily a journey that you're going to grow into. So he said, no, I don't think you get it. And plus, people who have applied with you are 45, 50. So I don't think this is the job for you. So I was a bit, not sure about it. So but guess what? I come to the interview having forgotten my certificates at home and everything, because I wasn't even sure if I was going to get it. But when I entered the waiting room, I said, wait a minute. I could actually do this. So I called the lady who was in charge and said, you know what, let me just change my position, because I had come a bit early, so I was going to go earlier. I said, let me just go and get something and come. So I go and pack all my certificates and come back. And then when I came, I think one person had gone. I told them, I'm getting this job. And everybody goes like, what's she talking about? I said, you watch, I'm getting this job. Look at her. I know. And I think your size is bigger than me then. I was really small, and I was like, I'm getting this job. What's she talking about? I said, you watch. I said, this job is for me. So I go in. They ask me what my views are on politics, what my vision for building a positive image for a legislature. No, mind you, my only knowledge of Parliament as it existed then was when I had covered it. Right. So I didn't really know the ins and outs of how a Parliament should function. In fact, I didn't even know why the Public Affairs Department had been set up. So I go in, They asked me general questions and I answered. And I think one of the things that stuck with them was when I was asked about macro indications. And I remember very well the answer I gave. I said to them that, look, for me, the macros don't matter. These are bread and butter issues. How is it translating into the micro? And then one man said, this is the person to watch. And then I knew that when I was convinced that I was going to get it, some unseen hand was talking to me. So that's how it happened. And then I got the job.
You spoke from your heart.
I did.
It wasn't theories. It wasn't.
No,
it was
wasn't.
just.
It was just the way I had. I guess again, my time in the media space had prepared me for that, because I had seen policies and how they affected the ordinary people. When you would do a documentary on, let's say, maybe guinea worm, and you would see how maybe 5 cities will change a person's life. You know, and that is what later on made me think about the Dual Concept Foundation. When you would see how very little would change people's lives, and you would see the opulence of other people and how what they are wasting could actually help other people. And that stuck with me and has still stuck with me to this day. So everything I do every day on a daily basis is based on how my big actions are translating into the small actions that affect individuals.
Wow.
And for me, that's what policy should be about.
Wow, absolutely. So I mean, you got into parliament, you know, now you were not just there as an outsider reporting, you were there in, you know, sort of a managerial portfolio and all of that. Your impressions about parliament as an insider and your impressions about parliament as an outsider. Let's talk about it. First impression, we come to today after so many years of working in parliament.
First impression, reality check.
Right.
Because don't forget, the only job I knew was being on TV, where at the time your producer would even worry about your weight.
Right.
You know, the moment things started changing, they would worry about your clothes, they would worry about how you looked, and so you were more or less being spoon-fed because they want a certain image for you. So you didn't really get to see how workers dealt with day-to-day, you know, realities of working in an institution. So there was the shielding part that was taken off. That was the first part. The second part was that when you're working in a newsroom, you don't know administration. But when you're a deputy director of an institution, you need to know secretarialship. You need to know administration. You need to know people management. You need to be able to have, you know, a lot of, you know, soft skills. But you are coming from a place where all you did was take a camera, go out, report, come, and then, so you never knew how to deal with that side of the work, you know, environment. And you are thrust into a situation where now you have to manage people. And there were a few times when I put my foot in my mouth. One example was when I had just joined Parliament, and then we had the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and we needed to produce newsletters. So here I was, you know, I've worked in a pressure cooker all my life, meeting deadlines. And we're supposed to, you know, get these newsletters out. And people were being slow. And I would get really mad. I'm like, what are you doing? And I would more or less like be shouting. And you would meet brick walls. Because first of all, everybody's thinking, what's she on about? And secondly, nobody's even lifting a finger to do anything because they don't know that culture. So those are the reality checks that I had to deal with and then quickly learn and do a quick turnaround. And I had myself and my former boss, may he rest in peace, Jones, we had an excellent secretary. I shared a secretary with him. And she had been an executive secretary in a bank. And so she knew about filing and, you know, how to minute on memos and things. And so she would, you know, guide you and tell you that, you know, why don't you do it like this? Why don't you do it like that? Why don't you wear this instead of that? So it was a whole learning process. And for me, immediately, I knew that I needed to improve my people skills. Because like I said, I am a little introverted, which people don't know about me. And so when I would go into my office and take a 10-minute break, because I needed that, people would want to see me. And when people want to see you as the head, they want to see you. You must be available. And I didn't know that. I didn't have that emotional intelligence. So, people would say, oh, she doesn't want to see people. Oh, she's not nice. She's, she's arrogant. Quickly, you had to do a quick adjustment. And, I did that.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
People say the hardest part of the job is the people who come to that. But I want to know about Parliament itself.
Okay, so there's...
because when you are outside looking into Parliament, there are some perceptions you have, of how it works, what it is,
The first thing I learned is that there's not that much for the members of Parliament. There's not that much resources in terms of money as people thought there is. Even now, when I started, they didn't have offices, and there were so many demands on them. And so the first thing you came into contact with is the fact that people are not as rich as they looked. They looked outside. They actually, in fact, sometimes actually broke. And then you also found out that people are not actually as unfriendly as they seemed to be. And so you'd find that people who were arguing 15 minutes on the floor of the house are now together eating. And you're thinking, but these are people who were using bad words for each other. How are they able to, come and, meet with each other and, have those types of conversations with each other? I also found that, Parliament and legislature, it's, as a whole, is a very, very important glue that binds democracies together. And I've had many years of experience and compared to other, democracies to come to this conclusion finally that you'll find that there are people who are in the executive, who are doing very well, who are making policies and everything. There's a judiciary that's adjudicating and doing all these things. But the people, the real glue, are the people in Parliament. Because they tend to have a direct link with the people who elected them into the spaces that they are in. So people would rather come to their member of Parliament. How are you going to see the president? All you need to do is come to Parliament and tell your MP that, oh, my wife is pregnant, I need money. So then I found that when you're outside, you are thinking of Parliament as policy makers, people who are sitting in 4x4s and enjoy. But when you come in, you find that, look, there are people there who have problems. There are people there who are confused. There are people there who need what you also need. But more importantly, there are people there who are representing you. So in selecting the person that represents you, you need to consider a lot of things. Is this the person that I want to represent me? Does the person have the same ideals that I have? Is he going to help my cause? Is this person the right person generally? And you don't need a doctor to formulate health policies or an economist to formulate economic policies. But what you need is somebody who is empathetic, somebody who is smart, and somebody who understands the cultural, nuances of how we live as a people. And that's what I learned when I came to Parliament very quickly. So when I speak to people about elections, I tell them that don't look at the person who is speaking English or who is eloquent or who seems to have money. Rather, look at somebody who is empathetic. And you find that even in the speakers, obviously that some people are more empathetic than others. When you've had an empathetic speaker, you tend to get more policies through than when you have a speaker that's a little more difficult to deal with or who is not as connected to people as, the other person. So those are the things I learned about Parliament. And I also found that, look, it can actually be a place of fun. And I remember when, let's say, an MP gets into some situation in the public space, come to Parliament and see how they will laugh at you. And there are examples that I can't use, but there were times when some politicians have got into some scandal or the other, and when they get to Parliament, the amount of teasing they receive is always like something. It's okay. So I found that it's a human institution with all the fallibilities, but also with all the fun and the happiness and all the emotions that go with spending time with people.
Wow. Okay. So just listening to you, I'm picking a few things. First of all, about who we should be sending into Parliament. Do you think that the process that we have, the parliamentary process that we have, allows us the opportunity to pick the right people, for instance?
Yeah. Don't forget that the people that are put in parliament are selected by political parties, first of all, and primaries. So there's very little that people can do at that stage because that happens in the political space. But beyond the politics, when they get to the public space, the factors that contribute to their selection, I think, is what needs to be looked at. For instance, we have a hybrid system. So there's a slight overlap between the duties of the executive and the legislature. So you have people assuming that certain duties that are to be performed by the executive are actually to be performed by the legislature. So you find that the constituents get a little confused at that stage, and that sort of informs who they select. And so sometimes you find a few square pegs in round holes. But I think from where I sit, I also know that people vote with people they can relate to.
Right.
So, for instance, you find that maybe a professional stands with somebody who's not so professional. So we had an MP who, he's my friend, so I think I can mention his name, Joe Apia. We have a Joe Apia who was not as qualified academically as his neighbor MP, but he was able to go through like that because people could relate to him.
Relatability.
Yes. So there was that. But there's also the money factor. And then there's also the factor. So it's a whole myriad of what do you call it? Reasons why people get selected. Sometimes some people get it right. Sometimes, not as right as they should. Yeah.
I want to finish with all my parliamentary questions and then we'll come back to you. Last elections, some of us were fascinated, about this whole concept of a hang parliament. We're also excited. It meant that we're going to test our democracy and we're going to experience, some kind of high-level, sophisticated, legislature that hasn't been experienced before in the world. And, and you said what you got was blows.
Oh, the blows. Again, I think I've seen enough parliaments to know that what they call filibustering, a little violence here or there, not to say that it's good, happens in parliaments the world over. And I think that happens because people are have very strong views when it comes to politics. And for somebody to say, I'm standing on the ticket of party A or party B, it's because they are very, very strongly convinced about the ideals. And sometimes finding the gray areas and meeting in the middle becomes a problem. And that is what leads to people, sometimes disagreeing so vociferously. So on that day, when the violence erupted, I don't think anybody envisaged it. I didn't envisage it. We had all come to work. We're going to change into our fancy clothes and come and sit down and come and swear, dissolve the 6th parliament and go into the 7th, or dissolve the 7th and go back into the 8th parliament. And then one thing led to the other. Something that was just verbal started getting out of hand, and before we realized, things were getting out of hand. And we've had another incident that's happened.
Yes.
But the good thing is that this hung parliament has tested all our, the things that we need to satisfy. And we've, I know some people may not agree with, but we've ticked boxes that ordinarily would not have ticked. Consensus has been built. I mean, imagine how many laws have been passed, whether there's been disagreements or not. But even when we had 169 over the other figure, people were still disagreeing. People would disagree, and Peter Lajete would tell you the minority will have their say, but the majority will have its way. When you look at our parliament, the fact that our speaker is coming from a party that is not in government, 138, 20 women apiece, and then the 137, 20 women on each side of the aisle, and coincidentally, the speaker would say he is a neutral speaker who has affiliations with a political party. And then the independent candidate who chose to do business with the majority is also an independent candidate with a certain background. So it's as if there was
complete balance.
A complete balance.
In the middle.
So you are not going to come and use numbers for any policy. There are some policies or there are some laws that have been passed which may not necessarily be very popular. But it didn't happen because people had numbers. It didn't happen because people had numbers. It happened because they went through the parliamentary processes. And whether it was the best or not, the principles of democracy was tested. And that's what parliaments do. So I think this has been one of the most educative, most trying parliaments I have ever seen. And I've seen, I think this is my 6th parliament I'm seeing, so I've seen quite a number of parliaments. This is the most trying parliament I've ever seen. You're not going to come there and say anything and get away with. You don't have the numbers. So, and it's a numbers game.
Listen, this week somebody was saying to me that he's hoping for the next parliament that we have to be one where, you know, not a hung parliament, just majority minority, but then the party in
the majority will be a party out of government. You see, so
and I can imagine that will come with its own higher levels of drama.
In the third, you know, one of the reasons we have a hybrid system now is because of what the happenings in the Third Republic, where it was a purely parliamentary system, and so the parliament was able to throw out the government budget, which meant that expenditures could not be expended. Government business had to come to a halt. So if we pray for that, and that happens, we could very well have a situation where government business could very well be thwarted. Because if they don't agree with you, they will not, and they have the numbers. And but then again, the other side of that coin would be that then government will be more, executive government will be more accountable, because you're not just going to bring anything because you don't have the numbers
at all.
But fingers crossed, we don't know.
We simply don't know. We simply don't know. So, I mean, young lady, famous, working at GBC, doing your dream job, you know, all of that. When did you have time? When did you find time for family? Because you have a lovely family. Your boys.
Thank you.
I've had, you know, the privilege of seeing you with them. You know, it's lovely to watch. But at what point? And then also, as you are doing that, give us some pointers. The young ladies that are watching, because we are a woman that's going places. What should you be, you know,
looking out for?
Yes,
and everything.
Yes.
You see, so I work hard, but I also play.
Oh, we know.
Little. We know. I also play a little because I think that life itself is quite hard. I don't want to take myself too seriously, so I make time for other things as well. So I try to balance things out. I wish I had kids earlier, because I have you know, people my age who are now grandmothers and they have their little grandkids. So I didn't have kids that early.
At what age, if you don't mind me asking?
I had my twins at 36, so it wasn't that early. It wasn't that early at all. So I wish that had happened a little earlier.
Why?
But I was focused. They're being grown now. Because the mommy I want is too much. They'd have been grown now. The thing is that, like I told you earlier, that I had a certain hunger for success, for getting things done. And it made me concentrate on that.
Job,
yes,
career.
And you know, the thing about being in the media space is that could very easily happen to you. Because if you are doing a morning show, you are doing an evening show, you're at work most of the time, you have to travel for work, you have to make sure. Imagine taking off 6 months to go and look after a child in a media space which is very competitive. Where are you coming back to? By the time you come, your relevance would have gone down. Issues would have come up that you don't have reference points with. So that sort of takes away from, you know, that part of your life. And then moving on to Parliament was even worse, because that is a purely patriarchal society where it doesn't matter that you are female or male, you needed to pay your dues. And until very recently, I was one that wasn't for affirmative action at all.
Oh.
Because I said, each according to their ability.
Earn it. No tokenism here.
Exactly. But now I know the importance of equity.
Right.
Now I know the importance. I think that's what age and experience does for you.
Right.
I know the importance of equity. So that also takes away from me, because our male counterparts were busy marrying and having kids. We knew that we couldn't afford the time for pregnancy, and I had one of the most difficult pregnancies. I didn't work a whole year because I needed to stay at home, you know, with the time that the kids were, you know, on the way and everything. So that sort of like takes away from everything. So I think that's what's delayed it. But once it happened, it was good. And I'm happy that it happened at the time that it happened, and with the person that it happened, because he's my best friend, my fighting partner, and I don't know what I'd do without him. So yeah.
Wait, if you don't mind me asking, at what point did you meet him at GBC?
No. So I had just I think it was the same year I left GBC.
Wow.
Yeah, and we met at a, let's say, not the most conventional places.
Right.
I'd gone out with my friend Ajua. She's the editor of the graphic showbiz. So we had just gone out, and that day I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I just said, oh, let's just go out for a minute, and then we meet this guy, and then he says, oh, I like you. Oh, I like you. Okay, one thing leads to the other. He didn't even know who I was.
Right.
So that maybe that is what even made it nice for me, because he didn't even know who I was. He had no idea that I was filmed. So it was somebody who saw me with him and said, how do you know this person? I said, oh, I know them. I said, oh, do you know who the person is? And I told him my name was Mary. He says, do you know this person? I said, no. This is this person. Do you want to ask her who she is? And I was like, I hear you are this
Mary.
person. I know. I said yes. So yes, it was good, and I'm happy that it happened like that, you know. And I think that probably the most important thing I've done in my life, the most significant achievement I've made is having Penny and Kakra. So yeah. So that's like the icing on the cake of everything I've done in my entire life.
Wow, that's so profound. That's so profound. There's a lot of talk that media ladies are unable to get married and have a family. You know, that saying is...
But there are so many women in other spaces who are not married. I don't know. I think the only difference with the media ladies is that because people are in people's faces all the time, they think that they know them. And sometimes people will say, oh, I know you very well. And I'm like, okay, what's my middle name? What's my middle name?
No, you
don't know me. You just know of me, or you may have seen me. And so, you know, that's what happens, because you are growing up in everybody's face. And I started working on television at the age of 22, 23. And you do that until you are 29, 30, 31. They've seen you forever. They are expecting you, you know, to have babies, and you are still, you know, not doing that. They will ask questions. And, you know, we come from a society where people ask that, don't worry. You know, things like that. But there are so many people who work in the banking sector, who are in the market, who are also not married, and who, you know, get relationships that don't work out well. I think that people sometimes are unfair to people in the media.
I agree. I completely agree. Okay. Let's come to the best part, your concepts. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I mean, amazing work you are doing, and I say this from a place of experience. I went with you to the Koligono Community Library, where you brought, I think, Amasewa,
Ifeanyi, and Lucille, who's now the Commission Secretary of NCCA, and your good self. You guys were amazing.
No, wait, I'm the one, you know, going there. Wait,
you guys were amazing.
It was a beautiful experience, you know, to watch you bring all those community kids together in the library, and to have these women who had rich experiences to share, to give back, you know. It wasn't just about that. It was so much more. And after everything, I saw you in action, you know, hugging these kids, having one-on-one with them. And this is something you do all the time, you know. Why? Why, number one? And two, talk about the challenges. And I know that it's not an easy terrain. It's not. That NGO space is not.
The why, like I said, it's because I've seen so many people go without. I think that is not fair. I watch people like you. You have your father holding your hand. It's easy for you. It's not easy, but it's relatively easy for you. And today in Parliament, I was walking out of my office when a girl came to me and said, Madam, please, do you have an opening for an internship? I said, why are you asking? She said, oh, I'm looking for somewhere to do an internship. I said, who brought you? She said, nobody. And I said, why did you come here? She said, I was coming to ask. And for me, things like that stay with me. When I think of a child that is going without, and not just a child, anybody will tell you, I'm broke because I give everything I have to other people. That's how I'm wired. I'm not able to live and see other people suffer. And I told you that I didn't have kids early. But there's also a reason why I didn't have kids early, because I had PCOS. So it meant that I couldn't, I had difficulties with fertility and issues like that. So I did a lot of, treatment and everything. I saw people struggling to have kids. And then I saw people having random kids that they couldn't take care of. So then, it made me think that there's a certain imbalance in the universe that needs people like you, like the people that you do very well with the Obasima thing. And that's why no matter what I'm doing, when I'm called to a program for Obasima, I drop every single thing and I show up. Because, I have no words. I really have no words. I remember when Pinekakra were one, we went to do a random donation. Just, I don't know, out of the blue, also children's home. And I had a few kids had been brought then. And also children's home is one of the high-end ones. And the depravity that I saw, I came back home, packed every single item that they had, and give to them. So maybe if you ask me for even one baby cloth for my kids, I don't have, because I gave everything out. And maybe I should have kept, something just for, purposes of sentimentality or anything. But that's what it is for me. And as the kids have grown, I've tried to grow the foundation with them. And at every stage, I see people having difficulties. And so now, for instance, on the 12th, and it's strange that you ask, because I wasn't even going to talk about it, because I'd forgotten to talk about it. On the 12th of July.
What's happening here?
Here, we are at the Nungwa New Hope. Isn't New Hope? It's called one of my favorites. And this boy in the yellow is now a grown man. He's now a grown man. He won the dancing competition. You can see the test. And look at this boy in the blue. And you know what he was worried about? Clean towel. Fizzy drinks. I wouldn't give my kids Coca-Cola. But it's and that's Kakra over there. This is was this the same? No, we had gone to another place, and this is I think last events we had at the Collegono place last month. We were reading for the kids. This is Sammy who helps us out, and this place the kids are all mentally challenged, physically challenged, and if everybody would even give 50 cedis a week, don't give it to any specific person, just take it there, give it to the kids. Because these are the children who are going to grow up with your children. These are the kids that are growing up with your children. And they will live with them. So if you don't empower them, and you think your child is in an international school, they will grow up with them. And, do you want your child to be unsafe? There's Thelma in the church and Ajua. And you know what I do? I bring my staff from the offices when we can, to help. So as for giving, I think that we all must give. We are doing something on the 12th at Mamprobi for kids that are abusing drugs. They're abusing drugs. So they are taking tramadol, they are taking all kinds of things. And these are 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds being sexually active, not having direction, teenage pregnancy, being exposed to STDs and all those things. Sometimes all they need is for somebody like you to tell them that, look, it's okay to make a mistake, but don't repeat the mistake. And they learn. I remember at the art center once with Oswald, a child came and said, Auntie, at what age can I have a boyfriend? I'm 15. My mom said no. I said, what business do you have having a boyfriend at 15? Why do you need a boyfriend? He said, because I need somebody to talk to. So what do you need to tell that somebody? He said, my mom doesn't understand when I tell them that, for instance, if they gave me food and I didn't like it and I said it, she said I was being truant. And for her, she needed an outlet. And she felt that a boyfriend would do that for her. So you find that the problems are, like I said earlier, they are small, they are not big. But we'll sit in a place like Parliament and make laws affecting children and women, which don't have relevance for the person that is on the ground suffering. So how do we get to them? And that's what I hope when I'm not here anymore will be said that she tried, to reach the child and to hold a child from the gutter.
That's amazing. That's amazing. God bless you. God bless you for that. There's just amazing work you do. Amazing. Do you ever think of going to Parliament yourself?
No, emphatically, no.
Why?
No. See,
You would be the best parliamentarian.
No,
You know the system. You run the system. You have heart.
No.
Why not?
Definitely not. You know, working in Parliament is as good as being a member of Parliament. You are in everything. I have served, let's say, 5 terms already. I've served five full terms. You know what? Like I said to you, first of all, I don't think we all have to be elected to Parliament to contribute to the legislative process. I think that for me, thankfully, I've had the chance to contribute to the legislative process in the capacities that I've been fortunate to serve it. I don't think that many people have. In fact, for the past 20 years, I'm the only person who've had the opportunities that I've had, to serve. I've seen legislations, I've seen a drop that chamber, I've seen the fights, I've seen the happy times, I've seen speakers come, speakers go, speakers play, speakers. So I think that and as I've done that, I have helped to build policy. Some people will work in the background like that. Other people will go and be members of Parliament. But I think that I've done enough politics.
You have.
I've done enough politics to last me a lifetime.
Actually, 3 lifetimes.
So
You've done more than other people's 3 lifetimes.
Not elected member of Parliament, no.
Right.
But contributing to the legislative process, yes. Contributing to democracy, yes. Helping to grow Ghana's Parliament. That's my passion for now. So yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my passion for now.
Absolutely. I love what you say. Well, you have done everything more than. There are a few people, who have something to say, about everything that you have done. I wanted to ask you an easy question, about your day, as somebody who sort of interfaces Parliament and the rest of us, because we've done that for years and years and years and years, and perhaps what that is like, because I'm expecting that you'd have like a running theme that you operate with. I hope, when
that's what you would wish to have. That's what you wish to have, but that never works. That never works.
That in your mind, when you're interfacing with the public, this is perhaps a core value or a core principle in your dealings, because unfortunately, Parliament is still pretty far from the rest of us.
Yes,
it's not as close as it should be.
As it should be.
Yes.
And let me just say that in the past 2 years, there's been a few changes in Parliament. So now, whereas in the past when I was Director of Public Affairs, I was the main interface. Now I'm coordinator of the Public Affairs subdivision, made up of public engagement, media relations, and the parliamentary broadcasting. So what it means is that the media relations guys are handling the media relations aspect of the public affairs job, and the public engagement is now handling being the main interface. We are still rolling it out, and we haven't finished everything yet. So we're taking baby steps, and then we have the broadcasting, which we are hoping, and I'm very excited about that. We'll start before this Parliament ends. So I am not working purely as the interface at the moment. I'm more like coordinating those activities. But when I've done that, the core value that from the third Parliament to date that I've worked in Parliament has been the fact that we are serving the people. So the people are our bosses. How can we reach them? What do they want? How can we give them what they want? Now, in doing that, we try to bring Parliament closer to the people. How do you bring Parliament closer to the people? What do the people want? How do we give them what they want? But you see, societies are very dynamic. So today's want or need may not be relevant tomorrow. So it keeps changing. Just when you're getting a hang of one thing, something else is coming up, and you need to sort of like redirect your movement. So you always need to have your wits about you. But I must say that now it's easier for us to reach people than it was in the past, because then we had to physically go there. Now we are reaching them online. Now we are interfacing with them, through telephone calls, through video calls, through Zoom calls. So it's relatively easier. And now the Parliament is a little more open than maybe 10 years ago. So you have more people having easy access to parliament, having easy access to members of parliament. But the problem is citizens' expectation of the members of parliament. When you, I'm borrowing from Speaker Bagby's recent discourse, that when you let somebody give you money before you vote for them, when they pay you, so you vote for them, and then they come, and then you say, I want you to serve my interest. What interest? Did you not collect money for it? And sometimes the things we collect, oil, rice, t-shirt, campaign t-shirt that you can't even wear anywhere. Things that you shouldn't, be doing. So those are the things that we need to look out for. And for us in Parliament, we need to be more intentional about reaching, the citizens. Sometimes, like you said, there is a big disconnect between what we think people need and what they actually need, even from Parliament. For instance, in the cycle of a bill, there is a part where memos are invited from citizens in the course of making laws. When we put the invitations in the media, barely anybody responds. And the people who would respond are people who are maybe interested in that. So let's say if it's disability, people with disability are the people who are going to respond. But citizens don't respond to it. What it means is that we are not being intentional about reaching the people. So it's one of the places that we need to look at. Again, women and children, how are we dealing with that? Marginalized groups, how are we reaching them? Are we giving them, for instance, and I use this domestic violence bill. When you make a law that says if a man beats a woman, the man should be arrested, and the man is the breadwinner, are you helping the woman? So we need to be more intentional about providing for the citizens for whom we are whom we are serving. So those are the things. I get it that the disconnect is there, and sometimes when I sleep, I think about how we can close the gap and how we can be more engaging, with citizens. And I think that, every parliament, as I have seen, has improved slightly on the previous one. So, as we go along, all things
small, we'll get there. We'll take a break at this point. When we come back from the break, I have a message for you from Parliament. Small message. Stay with us, we like that.
I would say that she is a transformational leader, because she's the type of leader, or I say a director, who always wants to carry her people along and always wants to see improvement in what they do. Whenever you are with her, you are working with her, whenever you come across her, she wants to know what you are doing, what you are doing with your life, and then how best she can help you to improve on it. So being with her in the working field, you must also have a vision or a dream to, move forward, because she wants to see you progress. For the past few years, it has been a little challenging in the office. It hasn't been easy. Those in the department will tell you, especially those close to her, will tell you how challenging it has been. But she always says that just have faith. And one thing she also does is that she thanks God for the people around her. Because as a leader, if you have if the people around you are not committed, you end up breaking down. And those around her has been very supportive. In fact, the whole crew has been very supportive. She's a leader that when she cries, you end up crying. And there's this song she normally sings, Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah. And her favorite stanza is the last stanza. And when I tread the verge of Jordan, songs of praises I will ever give to thee. That's her favorite song. And she says that it's a divine prayer. She doesn't call it a song, but a divine prayer that guides you in your daily activities. And she prays. Kate prays. Kate prays. She doesn't know that she's called Kate. That's this morning. I can tell you that she's called Kate. In our cycle, she's Kate. Kate prays. And we pray together in the office.
Tama is in trouble. Oh my God!
But as she was talking, you were here crying.
No, you know, she brings tears to my eyes. She brings tears to my eyes. She's right. One of the most difficult times of my entire adult life is probably the last 2 years.
Wow.
Where things changed for me at work. Things that didn't used to be problems all of a sudden became problems. And you know, changes always come with difficulties. And you know, in a space where there's a lot of politics, even though we are not active politicians, we are politicians. So there's a lot of politicking going on, and you know, politicking comes with people not being fair, you know, facts being twisted, and also people trying to take that which is rightfully yours away from you. And one of my probably most damning but also most rewarding traits is that I'm very stoic. And if I believe in something, there's nothing that will change my mind. And once I have that conviction that I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm not hurting somebody, I haven't taken your own, don't take my own. But when you take that stand, then you have to pay the price. So it's been a very difficult 2 years for me. And the people that stood by me really stood by me. And Thelma here, she's one of the people that stood by me. But the reason that there were tears in my eyes is also the fact that she's one of my personal success stories. She was gifted to me, I think, by God randomly, when one day HR asked me that there's a girl that has potential, but she's rather low on the ladder. We know that you tend to, you know, do these things. Would you like to take her? And mind you, I had sent this lady to give something to an MP. She had gone and given the thing back. It was our friend Sophia. We are now like family. So Sophia Kwaku says, go and give the thing back to her and bring another. And she came and said, Auntie Bin Kobi. 2 or 3 weeks later, they bring her to me. So I said to her, you see what's happened to you. I will take you because I like challenges. And if I tell Miss Jenny, I'm sure you'd cry too. It's not my story to tell, but it's one of my personal stories that I'm very proud of. If I stopped working in Parliament today and said, what have you been successful with? She's one of the people I'd say I've been successful with.
You are an intentional leader.
I try, but I'm fallible too.
You know, you are an intentional
I'm fallible too. They can tell you that.
Leader. I see you. I see you with your people.
Yeah,
I see you. Sometimes I enjoy watching your WhatsApp status. You know, I see the love. I see the togetherness. And, you know, it's like work family, kind of. You know, I see you eat. You know, I see
we have what we call the Friday gang.
Right.
And it's one of the tools that I use to solicit ideas from them. Because I realize that when we have the formal meetings, they don't give me as much information as when we are eating our kinky, and then somebody comes and say, hey, And you know, they call me mommy. Mommy, you know, we can do this about this. What do you think about this? Even last week, I was with one of my girls, Fafa, in Kumasi, and when we'd finished work and come to the to the hotel room, and she would say, "Oh, I think maybe we could look at this in this way." And I tell people that the younger generation, they are way smarter than us. And, you know, the ideas they come up with. So I try to, you know, learn from them and, you know, tell them that you can use me as an example. I mean, I've been kicked around the ball like 100 times, and I'm still standing.
But I'm still here.
I'm here.
I'm still
I'm
here.
not going anywhere.
I'm still here. You just said something about the younger generation, which reminded me about earlier conversations we've had, where you've expressed is it perhaps worry that maybe this generation with all its potential is not taking, you know, so full advantage of opportunities. You speak about the youth parliament in parliament,
yes,
you know, and I think once or twice I've seen you recruit young people in other, you know, to come in, you know, take advantage, take advantage of the opportunities they have. Let's talk about that for a minute.
So in one of the things that, may he rest in peace, my former boss Jones Kublenu did, he covered wars, the Liberian war. He was there, he saw it firsthand. So when he came back and got the opportunity to work in parliament, one of the things he said is that, look, if people are going to change our society, it's not us, it's not the 35-year-olds or the 40-year-olds, it's the 15-year-olds, the 12-year-olds. Let's get to them, because when we do, then our tomorrow is secured. I don't want to be a 70-year-old woman afraid of a gun, because I don't want to see a gun. So what we did was that in the second cycle institutions, we had what we call the parliamentary youth clubs. So those studying civic education, government and things like that. We introduced, you know, little things to them about constitution, about talking instead of fighting, you know, just little things that will draw their mind to dialogue generally. Then in the tertiary institutions, we had the youth parliaments. We started with Legon, we went to KNUST, UCC, and now we are all over. And what we do there is that they mimic the national parliaments. And the opportunities are immense. We have members of parliament, and I always use them as an example. Okujetu is one of them. There's a Laye guy. You know what? Since I've been in parliament, I've seen 10 or 15 people transition from youth parliaments into actual members of parliament. Yes. So what it does is that, first of all, you inculcate the tenets of parliamentary democracy in the children. You build their confidence. You also channel their energies. Because, you know, when we went on break, I was telling you about kids, you know, growing up with our kids and, you know, being bad examples because they didn't get the guidance that they are supposed to get. And even our kids who said they wouldn't be bad examples. But if you channel their energies appropriately, they will find other things which are of interest. And just on Tuesday, we had a mock parliamentary sitting in Kumasi, and we had a debate. The gentleman from KNUST, Abbas Osama, was the speaker, and there's something about the regality of, you know, children trying to act grown up. It's beautiful. So as for getting the young people to do things like that, I think that it's important, and that's what we did with the public affairs department originally, and that's what the public engagement. In fact, I insist, and they have also taken the mantle, and they are doing an amazing job, you know, speaking to the children and making sure that they are, you know, in the right space. But one child at a time. There are so many of them out there that we need to get to. So yeah, we need to get to them. And I must mention that Obasima when Obasima started, I saw it. And what it has become, I have also seen it. And I'm thinking,
what we have become.
And I'm thinking, how did you grow so fast within such a short time? But it tells you that the young people are there if we want to reach them. If we want to reach them, so let's reach them. I mean, we are growing. I'm growing old. You're growing. We're all growing old. Yeah? So we are not growing older. So we need our tomorrow to be secure. We need our tomorrow to be secure. And I think that I mean, we are doing. I think our generation is doing better than the previous generations in terms of reaching out. I mean, I stopped donating during festive occasions like Christmas and Easter and everything, because when you look on social media, the number of people that give nowadays, people on their birthdays would go to prisons, would go to orphanages. So there is a slight change in the narrative in that direction. And I think that we need to focus a lot more attention and energy in that area. Maybe policies can be formulated, you know, to ensure that people, you know, in that space are reached. Inner city zone goes, you know, rural, urban, rural areas, people, you know, urban poverty, things like that. We need to, you know, get rid of that.
Right. But only because you speak about Obasma. Let's talk about the women population in Parliament.
It's you see, there's only 40 of them, but they are such a formidable force. So sometimes I wonder if we had 100 of them. And I don't know why I keep quoting Speaker Bagby. He's tending to influence my thoughts. But you know, he says things that resonates with me. He says that women are more emotionally intelligent than men. I think because women tend to be a little slightly more empathetic than men, or because they are primary caregivers, they tend to understand the needs of people better than their male counterparts. So if you had more females in Parliament, I'm sure we'd do better. Now, how can we get more females in Parliament? First of all, from the selection stages, at the political party stages.
Down there.
Yes. Political party people must put people in places that are female. And when you look at today's female is not yesterday's female. They've gone to school, they are in schools, they've done well, they are professionals. But when you come into things like politics, you find that as much as we have female professionals, we also have the slightly cultural undertones of some men saying that "Madam, person may be politics," or if you are too strong or before, or if you are achieving too quickly, she must be sleeping with somebody to be getting to places like that. We need to change all those things and to see people for what and who they are, and to put women in places. Uganda did it, Rwanda, you know, they did, you know, they were very deliberate about making sure that women got into, you know, parliament, and their parliaments are doing, you know, really well, really well. So maybe, who knows? And I don't see too much of a difference in the next parliament because of the number of female candidates that we have. But if we try to elect all of them, I'm sure it will help.
It would help. Do you think that the woman parliamentarian's life is harder?
It is definitely harder. The staff is harder.
Why?
It is harder.
What makes it harder?
You know, physiologically, we are not even wired for, you know, the kind of physical activities that you need to do if you are to be an effective member of parliament. Let's say you are from, let's say, one of the upper regions. You need to get to your constituency. Imagine, I just came back from teaching my Sunyani, my waist is broken. So if somebody is going to Tamale, if somebody is going to Wa, if somebody is going to, you know, they have to go physically. By the time they get there, they're not as strong as the male counterparts. That's the first thing. Number two, they have roles that are, you know, stereotypically female. So they have to wake up at dawn, see to kids going to school, see to husbands who don't want to, you know, find their socks and all those things. And then they also have, you know, to worry about coming to parliament, and you know, even when you are in, I tell people, and I'm sure I've said it on one of your platforms before, one of the things that irk me the most is when committees are formed and they say, oh, this committee shall consist of 5 persons, one of whom shall be female. If I see that, I never serve on that committee, because I say to myself that, why didn't they say one of whom shall be male? You know, so there are little things that take away from being female in such a space, which we need to be very conscious about and to change, until we make a very conscious effort to blur the gender, you know, roles, and make sure that it shouldn't matter whether you are female or male. You know, you should be giving your place of pride if you deserve it. And for us, the females, sometimes you hear things like, oh, women are their own enemies, and sometimes, I mean, admittedly, we also put ourselves at disadvantages. There's a job to be done, so you about means me, or you know, come to work at 8, and the person shows up at 10. And the work needs to be done at 8. Who do you want to do the work at 8? So if the male comes and does the work at 8, honor shall be given to the deserving. Simple, straightforward. Simple, straightforward. So we also need to accept that, look, there is something that we need to do as females. We need to be more proactive. We need to give a little more than we are giving. And we need to bring something to the table that the men are bringing, which is making the difference. So I think, yeah.
Our work is harder.
It's harder. I mean, no doubt. Like I told you, I was erroneously saying that, oh, I'd rather like to be giving. But I know that, look, the female, works twice as hard as the male in every situation to get the same recognition, not just in, developing democracies or anything, but everywhere in the world. You find actors, actresses in the Western world talking about equal remuneration for equal activity and all those. So it's everywhere. Sexual, what do you call it? Abuse happening to women, comments that shouldn't come, all kinds of things working against you. And sometimes, like I said, when Thelma spoke about the past 2 years being very difficult for me, one of the things I learned very quickly is that the males tend to stick with each other. And sometimes they don't even know what they're doing. But because the person is male, it's a little easier for them. And if you speak up too much, then they say, she talks too much, she's female, she must keep quiet. But I won't keep quiet. I never do. Anybody who knows will tell you, Kate, she doesn't keep quiet. And I wish there were more people like me who would say what they're thinking. Because in the end, it always, works better.
It has to. It has to. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm watching you right now. I'm seeing that gorgeous fabric you're wearing. Pairing it with this, is it burgundy? Burgundy. She looks like we are
matching.
Yes,
we are coordinating.
The memo is right, right. And then immediately I was like, Tuck and tie.
This is not from Tuck and Tie.
This is not from Tuck and Tie.
But this is Tuck and Tie inspired. This is Tuck and Tie inspired. When we spoke about myself, what we didn't speak about is my background. And my grandmother.
Took me right there.
My grandmother was a trader. She sold clothes. Both grandmothers. Then my mother, she went to beauty school. She was supposed to be a designer. She was a designer. She doesn't work anymore. She's still alive, so. But she also went into cloth selling, and so she sold cloth. So I have done a few things in my life. There was a time in my life when I had a restaurant called Kate's Party at the African Market in Osu, where we sold food, because in my house we cook as well. My brother is a chef. My mom is also a very good cook, so I used to do the restaurant business. But in recent times, I started selling scarves, because my paternal grandmother, sold scarves as well. And I took a lot of inspiration from her. I spent a bit of my childhood with her. She was one of the people that inspired me and formed my early thoughts. So I said, this is what I mean. I don't know, it just happened. So I said, let me channel we call her Akuya Kate. Let me channel my inner Akuya Kate. I was named after her. I sell duku. So I started selling duku. And my mom said, the dukus go very well with cloth. So let me select the cloth for you. So what I started doing was that if you came to buy 3 pairs of dukus from me, I would pair them with the cloth for you. And no, you haven't bought for me in a while. No, for long she would call me, can you pair them for me, Araba? I would pair Esla, I would pair for them. And so what started as, a little side hustle.
No, that's a celebrity hustle.
Don't be fooled. A little side hustle is now growing, and my sister is looking after the shop for me at the moment. So we are physically.
There's a shop.
There's a shop now in my mother's shop in Kaneshi. Wow. So right now I'm a proper market woman, and I sell clothes. Yes, but it's been good, and it's giving me again a lot of insights into what people go through, to put food on the table, because I sell cloth from, all the major distributors. And sometimes you find that the profit margin on one cloth is 20 cedis.
Wow.
For half a piece.
Wow.
Or 30 cedis for half a piece. So let's say on a good day, you sell 40. you have to take out your overheads, electricity, you have to take out paying the, it's, so then the question is that, what does this mean for persons whose only job is this one? And for me, that's how things are put in perspective for me. How is the bread and butter working for my colleague at the Kanishing market who's also selling the same clothes? At least I get to go to another place to do something else. But how does this translate to them? Because they also have to take their kids to school. They have to pay electricity. So those are the things that, But Takentai is doing well, and I'm happy. And you guys should buy from me.
Yes, please. How do we do that? How do we buy from you?
We're actually on Instagram and Facebook, Takentai. And so when you go there, you see all our beautiful designs. We put some up yesterday. And so you can, funerals, weddings, engagements, everything. Nowadays, that's all I wear anyway. So, and it's easy to wear, and it shows also your Ghanaianness. I mean, we traveled, and I didn't even bring one dress because people kept saying, "Oh, do you want to give me this? It's so nice. Oh, the designer." I'm like, okay, you can take it, but look for us on
Instagram and order your own.
Exactly. So yeah, it works like that. We sell hair bonnets. We sell everything.
Wow.
So what else do we sell?
Wow.
Anything, shirts. In fact, anything that can go on your body.
Full-blown entrepreneur.
Anything that can go on your body, we will provide for you. So yes, that's my side hustle.
Right.
And that also goes to tell the young people that you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if this basket slips out of your hand, you're in trouble. So put your eggs in many small baskets, so that if one slips, you can pick the other one up. And there's no shame in honest labor. There's no shame in honest labor at all. At all.
Wait, no, you have to say that again.
There's no shame in honest labor. If you're working with your 10 fingers, the money, when you're spending it, hits different. You feel satisfied, you are fulfilled, you feel a certain self-respect that no amount of gifts can give you, So I think that honest labor is very important.
Wow.
Honest labor is very
This
important.
is a director in a House of Parliament, right? And you're referring to yourself as a market woman. It's beautiful.
I do that too.
It's beautiful.
I do that too. That's my pension plan. And we're going to go into Takentai hair. And we're going to be selling, just regular, things for braids and accessories. So we are getting ready for that.
Wow.
That should happen before the end of the year. So watch out for Takentai hair for all your African braids.
Okay, now I want us to talk about the twins.
Oh, those ones.
Your twins. Your twins. The duo in duo concept.
The duo in duo concept.
The duo in duo concept. Let's talk about them for a minute.
I don't know where to start, but like I said, they're probably the best things that I know that they're the best thing that ever happened to me. And so when I talk about my children, I talk about two issues. People that struggle with things like PCOS, and the fact that there is help to be sought and had out there. So if you have PCOS or anything like that, don't worry too much. What you need to do is get the necessary help that you need, because sometimes people have basic simple conditions that can be dealt with, which they don't deal with, and then it gets out of hand, and then they get married and they're unable to have children, and it becomes a problem, and one thing leads to the other, and there's depression and there's everything. So first of all, seek help if you have things like PCOS, and also be aware.
Please explain it a little bit. There's some people who have never heard of it. They don't know
so
what
the
it is.
PCOS thing is the polycystic ovarian syndrome, which sort of gives you irregular menstrual cycles. So when that happens, what it means is that you are not sure when you are ovulating or when you are fertile or things like that, and that can affect your fertility. And from my research growing up, there are people who, because they have PCOS, are not able to control the number of children they have. They tend to have too many children because they don't know when they are ovulating. And then there are those who can't have children because they are not ovulating and all those things. So seek, the appropriate help. And also, there are things that come with having PCOS. For instance, weight gain, not being able to control your weight and having mood swings and, hormone imbalances and all those things. So you need to be aware of what conditions you have and then deal with it. Once you're aware of it, the other thing I tell people is that seek help. And there's nothing wrong with seeking any type of help if that's what you want to do. And as medicine has evolved, now you have people, getting assisted reproduction through maybe IVFs, even surrogacy and all those things. If that's what will work for you, I always go with it. And I think people should also be sensitive and respectful of people if they are going through that. I think what we tend to do is ask too many questions that don't concern us and also make insinuations that are unnecessary. So I think that is also very important. We need to be aware of that and deal with that. But once they came, I had no idea that my life was going to be so different. First of all, nobody told me that they were going to wake up, not at the same time. One will wake up at 2:15, and then you're able to put them to sleep at maybe 2:45. You try to wake the other up, he's sleeping. Then maybe 4 a.m. you hear, wait, the other one is up. And you're in trouble the whole night. And then there's also the fact that because they are twins, they are feeding off each other's energies, positive and negative. So, and they are very boisterous. But also, I think more importantly, what Penny and Kakra have taught me is that no two persons are the same. Never. And my twins are probably the most different personalities I have ever seen. Penny is the crazy one who is always shouting and making noise, and Kakra is the reserved one. And but they sort of like balance each other out. And you would think that because Penny is loud, he would be the difficult one, but Kakra is the difficult one, and he wouldn't listen. It's strange, But I know that. And then again, I also learned that people should never compare themselves to each other. Penny and Kakra, again, like I said, they are very different. So what would take Penny 2 seconds to know may take Kakra 5 seconds to know. And they did an exam not too long ago. Penny was successful, Kakra wasn't too successful. And I told him that, Kakra, I was away, so I called him. I said, Kakra, don't worry. I said, Mommy, don't worry, I'm fine. I know what I'm doing. This is my game to lose. Nobody's.
Wow.
And I felt that, he's got it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got the message that I want him to get. Wow. That the only person you are competing against is yourself. Because no matter how hard I try to be like you, I would never be like you. I could never emulate you to perfection. I could only admire you and try to follow in your steps. But my game is my game to win or to lose. Wow. So that's what the twins have taught me.
Wow.
And I'm trying to teach them also to give. That's why we're doing the Dual Concept Foundation. The art of giving and serving, basically, and knowing that, look, when you put others first, God will put you first. So we are on it. They are giving me a tough time, but I'm also trying to match them boots for boots.
Boots for boots.
So we are on it.
Boots for boots. I have a message for you.
Another one?
Yes, another one.
Oh my God.
So today we have with us a wonderful, beautiful, and very charismatic lady to come, and so I'd like to introduce my mother and the person I love the most in this world, Kate Ado.
A memory that's of her that I remember is on our birthday. We're expecting what's called our 12th birthday. We had already planned that we wouldn't have anything. We would just have a family gathering where it was just those of us that live together, and we'll eat, we'll talk to each other, things like that. But then she was taking us from school, picked us from school, and she was taking us out somewhere. We thought we were going back home. And instead she took us to a specific restaurant where we met some very famous people. People like we were not expecting it, so it was a nice thing for her to do.
So Auntie Kate, my mother, she can be strict at times, but she's a very kind and caring person. She's cared for us extremely well for the past 15 years, and we're really grateful.
So my mother, I just wanted to remind you that I love you and you have cared for me so much my whole life, and you're the most important person to me. So I want you to have a good time on the couch, and I want you to enjoy yourself, keep living your life, do what you have been doing, because you're a very kind person.
Thank you. Oh, my, thank you. Oh, my word. Oh, thank you. This is the most beautiful gift I received the whole year. Thank you. Oh, my word. And I recognize these clothes this time. Oh, thank you.
Wow. How did that feel for you?
Surreal. These are the people in the Moses basket yesterday. Oh, thank you.
They are so big.
Thank you.
So, and when I say big, I don't mean just they're physical. They are really big. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting them personally, so
you.
I can say this, and even what you shared about them. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. This is really beautiful. I'm so grateful. I think I need a please give me a copy of everything. This is too much to take. Thank you.
But why is he calling you Auntie Kate?
This is even respectful. Ketado. Ketado, how are you? And oh Lord. Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is really nice.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'm going to need a copy of this.
Absolutely. And they're telling a story of a busy mom who makes time for them. And that's awesome. So, I mean, again, back to intentional leadership. So intentional at work, and you're intentional at home, and then also you're intentional with society. See, when I think about, and I say that a woman's fight is harder, that's exactly what I mean, right? You're intentional about home because home is very important.
Yeah.
You're intentional about work because other people are in your hands, you know. But you're also intentional about society because there's so much in you to also, it's wow.
I think wow. Sometimes, like I said to you when you asked me earlier about how I dealt with fame, I think it's the same thing. I don't even see the enormity of everything because I try to pace myself and take it one day at a time. When it's time for my kids at work, they are my kids at work. They are my work world. So when I go there, that's how I function. And Emma, you know what they do to me. Since Thelma decided, when I buy, for instance, food, and I go to maybe I have an impromptu meeting, I go. By the time I come, the food is not there. I say, are you people living at home?
This is your house. This is work.
This is work. Why are you doing that? And Harry will tell you, when Harry comes there, they're either eating biscuits or, but they ground me. And then I come home, and then these boys, they don't see me the way my work people see me. They see me as just an ordinary person. I remember when, was it Mr. Speaker or something? And I said to Pinda, let's go to them. Are you sure you really know them? When we met Zanetta, for instance, for the first time, and I said, oh, that's Dr. Zanetta, former President Rollins' child. I said, are you sure? So how do you so Penny goes up. He was a little smaller than this. Penny goes up and says, my mommy says you are President Rollins' child, is it true? And she goes, yes. I said, are you sure? So you see, when I come home, I get grounded because they don't understand, public space like that. Right. And then, probably the most important part of my whole life's journey is when I go into the space of people who don't have. And I don't think I'll be able to speak about that enough because that sort of gets me. So when I'm there, I'm very intentional. What can I do to help? Who is needing what? And I have children in the orphanages that I knew when Penny and Kakra were 2, who are now 20, are in uni. And when I look at them, I thank God that He was able to bless me to bless them. So we are trying. But I also, while I'm doing that, also at every juncture, I would like to mention people like yourself, people like Ohene Yuri, people like Beswa. In fact, Beswa started even before I did. And she was also, taking care of kids like that, and all the other people that I know who don't have that much, but still give, of what they have to people. So we are here, and we are hoping that God will put it in our hands so that we can put it in other people's hands.
Amen. God bless you.
God bless you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the gifts of knowing you. Thank you for what you do.
But we didn't talk about my faults.
Your faults?
So, I think we should just put me in a more human space. Because I do have a couple. One of the things, and I'm sure Zara will be saying that, hey, why are they saying all these nice things about her? I do get angry very quickly. And I'm not the most patient person on earth. Especially when I'm teaching people, I'm not the most patient person on earth. So one of my work daughters, Fafa, will say, Auntie, breathe. and I see Zara saying that, so I'm suspecting that they've been talking to each other. They say, breathe, and take it easy. So I'm also fallible, and in my life's journey, there have been times when I've got things wrong. From when we used to work at GBC, maybe, and I think that's a lesson that I'd like young people to take. Maybe if I had been a little more intentional with the talent that God gave me, and I'd worked a little hard. I worked very hard, I think, but if I had been a little more, maybe that one minute harder, it probably would have made a difference. So what I like to tell people who are aspiring to be like me is that put things in perspective. Don't think too highly of yourself. You may be talented, and people have different levels of talent, so some more than others, and that can get in the way of how you judge other people, and that could cost you, because there are times when you need to make allowance for people to be different and to not be like you, because we can't all be A students, and some are C students, but it's also okay for them to be C students and for you to be A. So I think that that's what I would do differently. I mean, I'd be a little more patient with people and be more tolerant, and sometimes not get as angry as I do. And I don't know why Thelma didn't say that, because when she spoke, one of the things she didn't tell you is that the number of times I call and I can send. I don't know whether you heard that about I send people back to back, but that I got from my dad. You are coming from one errand, you're on your way Mommy, this I will tell you that, and even everybody who knows me, hey, she can send, though. So those are the things that I'm afraid that, sometimes we would take away from what would be.
No, we wouldn't take anything away from you. We wouldn't take anything away from you at all. And it's one of the things I love about you. You're so real.
Oh, thank you.
So real, so genuine. Thank you.
Thank you.
And keep it inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me on the couch. I've been wanting to sit on this one forever.
Please, it's for you.
I've been wanting to sit on it forever. Thank you, for having me. And for people like myself, we've had people who holding our hands. And your dad, I said it before, I'll say it again, was one of the people that held my hand growing up. I was very young, very wide-eyed, and very all over the place with my thoughts and my, I wasn't afraid to say what I was thinking. But they held our hands and said, look, if you went this way, your journey will be shorter. And so they helped us. And to people like Beatrice Aidu, Barbara Sam, Abna Kunedu, all those ones, they helped us. And they made the journey easier. My all-time guardian angel is the Right Honorable Peter Lajite. He went to heaven. He was the person that said, I believe in you, I see something in you, you can do it. And our current speaker, whom I've known from, I think, 1992.
Wow.
He's somebody that I think I can call a friend, and now a boss and a mentor. And he, through the past 2 years also, has looked out for me, and been there. And people like that, I think, for such occasions need to be mentioned. That, look, I see you, I know what you do when I'm not there. And it's important to me that you did what you did even when I wasn't there, or you didn't think I would know. And that makes all the difference to me. So yeah.
Wow.
That's the journey.
Thank you
very much for having me.
Thank you. God bless you. I can't say that enough. God bless you.
God bless you.
We have coupons for you from Live Restaurants.
Oh,
so
that day is coming up.
Listen, we will not spare this birthday.
At all.
Spare this birthday. But there are coupons from Live Restaurants.
Thank
you can go there. Ivan would, get it for you.
Oh, thank you, Ivan.
Yes. We'll go there, have a nice time.
That would be nice.
You couldn't come for the Mother's Day event
because I was out of town. I had to go. I told you I because I went to Leeds and there's a
no, that's okay. So you won't have your own. You can have your own.
I will have my own. Now I'll enjoy. People know me that I can party. So I'll be there making all the noise and eating.
Thank you. I want us to leave. I want us to leave on your favorite verse, the one that Thelma spoke about.
Thelma said that, but today what's resonating with me is something else.
Okay.
It's I had a plan in my office, and I don't know who took it, but when I went to the office, someone says that this timing is best, our difficulties notwithstanding. He will open and close our Red Seas according to his overall timing. Not until. So when you are waiting for something and it hasn't happened, chill. It will come to you. Chill. It would definitely come to you.
Just chill.
It will come to you.
Thank you.
And now I'm becoming a little bit of a prophet. And I told you that I see something going to happen for you. It will happen. And when it does, then I will talk about it. Or then we both will talk about it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. I love you, Mom.
Well, thank you for watching. I hope that as you eavesdropped on our conversation, you enjoyed yourself. This is a woman that I love. I love her heart. I love her heart. There's a genuine woman who gives her all wherever she finds herself. And for me, these are the examples that we need. These are the people we need to keep seeing. These are the people that we need to keep having in the presence of our minds. Because once we see them, and you see that with them, it's possible. She's director in Parliament. She has a business. She has an NGO. She's amazing with her stuff. She's amazing with her kids. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So this is the inspiration I need you to take with you from this week into next week. Until we meet again. Have a lovely evening. Bye.